Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to FRS Season 6 for Xbox Division 1. It is round 4 of this 10-round season, and we are headed to the Styrian Hills of Austria. The Red Bull Ring has featured in all 6 of the FRS seasons so far, so it is a track that we are intimately familiar with. But for those who have not seen it yet, here it is. 4.3 kilometers around, just 10 corners, and 3 DRS zones. Promotes a lot of overtaking and makes it very hard to break away from that DRS area unless you can turn in a mighty end of the second and third sector. It's the quickest lap on the calendar. We should get down to around 65 seconds in qualifying and race laps under 70 seconds. The best overtaking opportunity here is turn 3 up the hill. Heavy braking zone, sharp hairpin. It's going to be your best chance after a long DRS zone to make an overtake. But you have another DRS zone right after that and a downhill braking for turn 4. So the battles can continue back and forth between those two DRS zones very frequently. Here are the tire compounds, a little bit smaller gap than we're used to. Only half a second slower is the medium and 1 second slower is the hard compound tire. Now, in this 36 lap race, the hards can do 34 of it. So early safety cars, you may see drivers pitting in to grab a set of those hards. The mediums can go 23 laps, which gives you a nice wide pit window in the medium to hard strategy. LC Fighter still sits at the top of the championship tables with Cryptic F1 right there in second. Loribo is in third, Quasi Pluto in fourth, and Habsman Nick rounds out the top 5 for Alfa Romeo. So now we'll jump straight into it. Here we are in our first run of qualifying. We were actually a little bit late to join the session. As you can see, there's only about 8.5 minutes left, so nearly missed the start of this one. Had to join right as qualifying was starting, but here we go for our first of 2 flying laps, coming around turn 1 up the hill in Austria, and our teammate just coming out of the pit lane just ahead of us there. We tried to organize a little bit of slipstream action down these long straights, so they're going to set themselves up to try and give us a tow down into turn 4, finding the braking point for turn 3, getting the car rotated, and we are right on the back of our teammate. Getting the throttle down, DRS open, grab as much slipstream as we can before they dive out of the way and let us through to give us a little bit of extra straight line speed. And one thing you don't want to do when you're slipstreaming is mess up the braking zone for the next corner. You are carrying a couple extra miles an hour of speed, but we get it slowed down nicely for turn 4, and then all the job is left to do in the kind of midfield section. Of course, it's not very long. That's turns 6, 7, and 8 we're coming through here. We've set a pretty quick middle sector, but of course that's that purple sector bug. Now into turn 9. Not quite fully committed onto the curb on that one, and then swing it around, find your braking zone for turn 10, and away we go. Open the DRS, and that is one quick lap. We go to a 105.826, only good enough for 9th at the moment, but we do have one more opportunity to go for another lap. So here we are, coming back out once again, going for that final flying lap. Only about 3 minutes left to go in the session. We got out a little bit early, so that way we could give Queasy the slipstream on our in lap. And so around turn 1 we go, about even Stevens with our previous lap, and quite a bit of traffic coming out now as Queasy getting up to speed. Going to try and give us a little bit of a tow down into turn 3. Was a little far up the road, but gave us a little bit of slipstream. However, we do have all this traffic ahead of us, which is going to give us a bit of slipstream. We do get a good release. We have to kind of navigate our way around racers. It gets a little nip and tuck there, as we are the only one of those 3 on a flying lap. So we found about 0.2 of a second this time. And now down into turn 5 and then turn 6, this left-handed flick. We get much better rotation to the apex. You can see gaining a lot of time there. Get the throttle down now. Same with turn 7 and 8. So just a little better line through those 2 corners. Able to get the car rotated. And then finally, we head now towards turn 9 and 10. Still not quite committed onto the curves. Just couldn't quite get the car in on their qualifying conditions. But a good rotation out of turn 10. And we're going to find about half a second in this second run, and that will jump us up to a 105.385 provisionally, P6 at the moment, but then we'll slow down, and we are going to give our teammate the slipstream down into turn 4. But here is your qualifying order. LC Fighter takes pole position with Cryptic F1 on row number 2, or in the second position. Queasy Pluto with that tow gets down into 104.8, although it could have been a much better tow. It wasn't my best effort with a slipstream. You've got Lorebo, Issei, Petmeister, myself in P7, Racer, Salmon Media, and that one kid rounds out the top 10. But here we are on the grid with the 5 red lights up. starting on the medium tires, and away we go. Good start from us, little better from the McLaren behind. We're going to go around the outside of the Alpha Tauri, but it's going to get a fairly 3-4 wide there, so we go long around the outside. We get touched by the McLarens as they went too wide on the inside, jumped the curbs, and around we go. Pepmeister also got tangled in another incident on the exit there, so both of us facing the wrong way today. And you can see a familiar name if you've been around for a while. Kem is on there. However, he was supposed to be just broadcasting, and he accidentally loaded into the game and is in a car, so he's got to try and navigate his way around like we did in Canada Season 2 for PC, just to find a safe place to get the car nice and parked. But we've got some work to do after the initial tap. We lost about 8 seconds on this first lap. Luckily, we were able to essentially get ourselves spun around really quick. Not a huge field, only 15 racers because Kem gets out of the way. But we definitely have a lot of work to do to get back up. Vickers, we're going a little bit slowly on those hard compound tires that we are going to start chasing down. Now, luckily, with the wide pit window of this medium compound tire, the little extra wear that got taken out of it from the spin is not going to affect our strategy all that much. And thankfully, we were hitting the back end with the spin, able to avoid getting collected by anybody else. So no additional damage, no need to pit for a front wing, and we are on the move now. We're just about closing up to the 1 second margin of Vickers. DRS not enabled yet, doesn't come out till the start of next lap, but we should be able to close up towards that DRS range relatively quickly. We are burning a fair bit of battery on these opening laps. Now is the time to really get reattached to the train ahead and make up the time where we can, because we are going to get caught. As you can see, it's quite a few cars in a row there ahead of us, so we are going to get caught in a bit of a DRS train, as a couple cars are wide off the track there. That's a couple positions for us. But with the DRS train, we are going to have the opportunity to just save some of that battery, since we won't be deploying it in clear. Cryptic setting the fastest lap of the race on lap 2 there, so doing a very good job running down in the P1. We just crossed inside the DRS zone of Vickers this time around. The DRS is now enabled, so we'll be able to flip open that rear wing here on the exit of turn 1. Vickers runs a little wide through turn 1. We're not using overtake at the moment because with them having DRS, it was going to be a bit of a reach to try and make a move, as that one kid is making a move on the outside of Chuck SRQ ahead of us. We've gone a little bit wide just in case there was a car backing up on the apex, but that has compromised our exit just a little bit. But again, we're in a train. Patience is kind of key at the moment in this recovery of a drive. So we've got about 60% of the battery saved up now. We're keeping an eye on the tire temperatures. You can see that right front temperature flashing up towards 118 degrees Celsius on the surface. Once it gets up to about 120, 121, there's a sudden loss of grip. So we're definitely keeping an eye out for it. We get a very good run through turn 7 and 8 though, so we're going to go ahead and go for it. Full deployment, go around the outside of Vickers, leave plenty of space. He's just going to slot in before we get to turn 10. And away we go, and we managed to snag a bit of DRS off of Chuck in front of us. So we're going to go ahead and burn a little extra battery to close up. And while I was thinking of sitting behind Vickers, making the move on the DRS straights, his little bit of a slow exit through turn 7 and 8 allowed me the chance to make that overtake, so I wasn't going to sit around and cost myself any extra time. And now we can start to look ahead to Chuck in the Haas as we close up to the back. A little bit of a lockup from Chuck into turn 3 there, but away we go using that DRS. And now our battery is starting to run down a bit, 35%, so we may need to do just a little bit more charging before we launch a spirited attack. We're going to need all of the battery we can if Chuck is still in the DRS of the McLaren ahead. But we're back up to P11, so we're making some inroads towards our original starting position of 7th. We've gotten actually a very good run on Chuck there. We're going to put a little nose to the inside, make him think about us, just show ourselves in his mirrors. Wasn't going to go for any overtake, but you can see he's having to react to where we're placing the car already because we're so close. He does not have DRS. He's fallen back from that one kid. Again, going to put myself in his mirrors, not going to make the overtake. Big lift and coast to save a little bit of fuel there. And now we're going to go. But he's got a very good run out of turn 1 there. We're going full deploy on the battery, and we are going to see where he goes. He's going to try and defend the inside, switches back to the outside, and we have to kind of go off track to avoid it. So unfortunate for us, we spent all of our battery from a long back attempt. We were going to try and go around the outside once I saw he was going to the inside, but then he switched right back and didn't leave us a whole lot of space. So fortunate to avoid any kind of contact. Luckily, there was some runoff there to take to, but that's really going to hurt my attempts at moving up through the field, because now it's going to take me a few laps to get that battery charged back up and you know, put together another attack. We are closing back up on him. And he is carrying a 5-second time penalty. I'm not sure what he got that from. Might have been from some kind of contact in the lap 1 incidents, or not deploying any of the battery, just using the DRS. He's certainly deploying the battery to try and get inside that 1-second margin to the McLaren ahead, and I think he's just about done it. See, does that rear wing flip open? It does. So yeah, he's managed to get the DRS off the car ahead, and that's cost us, you know, an opportunity, really. Issei going slowly is the Alpha Tauri in this train now. We've caught up the other McLarens. And that's going to bring Vickers into play a little bit as well. We burned a fair bit of overtake on the straight just naturally. It does slowly deploy in normal racing conditions. Of course, when you hit that overtake button, you get that extra boost of power and you can go even quicker. But we are still trying to regen some of that battery now that it's turning into a proper DRS train again, as Racer is around there. Luckily, he's well off the track and he's able to ease our way through rather safely, but Issei facing the wrong way now, so mistakes abound, and we're up into 9th place now. So just a couple more spots, we can actually see the McLaren of that one kid is in our race starting position. Now Chuck has DRS on that one kid, we have DRS on Chuck. Chuck is going to go for a move down into turn 1, side by side they both go. A little bit of contact has forced that one kid off. Chuck runs wide. He does not have the DRS because he got beyond the McLaren at the detection point. This time we're committing very hard to the inside with that DRS. Extra overspeed to really make sure we get it. Slow it right down on the inside. Have to slow it down a little bit extra to make sure that that we don't squeeze them off. Now they're going to have DRS on us, so we're going to dump everything we've got remaining in the battery. We're able to stay on the racing line and now get checked up just a little bit slow on the apex. Kind of park it just a hair to compromise Chuck's exit a bit. It does put us at the risk of him running into the back of us, as he nearly did, but I trusted his racecraft there, and he was able to get the car slowed down. And we are up now into P7. P as a Aston Martin is facing the wrong way. I believe that was Diamond Hunter, who is a lap down now at this stage. But we've got to find about 1.5 seconds to catch up to the McLaren ahead for 6th place. And we are going to have Chuck in our slipstream. Our battery very low, 13%. We're going to gain a couple percent on the braking zone under charge, just 16% now. But we've really got to strategically deploy, as Chuck is going to have that DRS on us. We're going to go ahead and burn the battery down in this corner. If you can get a good exit from turn 1, you can kind of negate the extra speed that the slipstream and DRS gets you. But you can see we're running under that 10% battery, and we are now checking in with Jeff about rain, because the sky is getting darker. It is much cloudier than the start, and in my haste of loading in rather rapidly, I didn't really pay attention to the weather forecast in this one, so I had kind of crossed my fingers and hoped it was dry. It does look, though, that the skies are darkening, and rain can absolutely be a factor here around Austria. So we will just have to keep an eye out, and it'll be a theme throughout the race that I'm relatively frequently asking Jeff for weather reports to see what's going on. We've managed to make a couple of tenths up on Salmon Media, not quite in their DRS zone just yet. But now we'll jump ahead to lap 11, as it was pretty much even Stevens for a couple laps. We do finally close up to Salmon Media. So once again, showing ourselves in the mirror on the inside of turn 1, not actually there for the move. They have a little bit of a lockup that causes them to run deep, and so that is going to be our opportunity to pounce. Full deploy, DRS open, and that is going to, Chuck is going to grab a little bit of slipstream there. We'll see if they fight on the way into turn 3. That could really help me out. Down to the inside, Chuck makes contact side by side with Salmon Media. has run deep and nearly gets into the back of us there. But once again, we are able to stay out of the fray. Now it's about a second behind us at 1.5 ahead, so a little bit of work still to do to catch up to Heinous Lime in 5th, but we're up now into 6th, so a little further ahead of our start than what our starting position was. And having to make several overtakes and claw our way through the field. 12 laps into this 36-lap race, where it's not a bad showing, since unlike Austin, the spin was not my fault this time, and having to recover from the back, I think I had a little bit better pace around here as well to start trying to claw my way back into this fight. As you can see, we're already down 1.1 seconds to Heinous Lime. We're asking Jeff about thinking about asking Jeff about the weather again. I think we do ask him, and we're going to jump 2 laps ahead. A little snap of oversteer on the apex curbing of turn 9, but lap 14, and we are just about going to burn some of our electrical power to get inside the DRS of Heinous Lime. Our pit window is now open off of these medium tires to go medium onto hard. Jeff's still non-committal about the weather whenever I'd ask him, so
Conditions look stable at the moment. No rain currently expected. Okay, dry seem like the best tyre for now.
Yep, and there you could hear him. Dry seem like the best tire, conditions seem stable, so it doesn't appear that we are going to be getting any rain quite yet. So just making sure things are all set on this back straight. New hard tires going on. Thinking about maybe doing a box opposite of Heinous Lime. My ideal hope is to undercut and they stay out one more lap. So that's why we've made the call to come in on this normal lap. I did move the strategy picker 1 spot forward, 1 lap early, as Queasy's gone around, and that's why he's now shown up on our leaderboards. He's in 4th, but he's had a mistake, and Heinous Lime is coming into the pit lanes. We commit just at the last second there, and we had to have all 4 wheels inside the commit line this race weekend because Austria puts that right on turn 9. So slow it down. We're going to slot in right behind Heinous Lime and get our tires changed at the same time. I had better on-track pace, so I felt confident that even if I ended up not doing the box opposite strategy, because I felt confident that even if we pit on the same lap, I would have the pace on equal tires to make the overtake happen. Also, he's got 8 seconds worth of time penalties, so I was also not worried about that. So now we get the fun, exciting conclusion of tire warm-up on brand new hard tires on a slightly cooler track. So tiptoeing our way into turn 3, get the car rotated nice and slow, ease onto the power as they still are not up to their ideal traction. You can see Heinous Lime actually doing a little bit of weaving as we put in a little bit of weave to try and generate a tiny bit of temperature, but realistically it costs you quite a bit of time on the straights to weave like that at high speed. So we just kind of manage the coldness of the tires. This is the opportunity where we're really going to get the heat in. These prolonged mid-speed corners really puts a lot of energy into the rubber, and you can see already we're now up to just 7/10 back of Heinous Lime. So any time that we lost in the pit exit phase, we've gained it right back, and we are back in that DRS, and that's kind of the commitment you should take on turn 9 there. Put a wheel up on the curb, and now half a second back of Heinous Lime. We are using a bunch of overtake, even though we're not in a position to make that overtake happen at this corner. We've got the DRS. I just wanted to make some quick laps, especially as there were a couple of drivers in the pit lane at the moment that I wanted to, didn't know how early they had gotten into the pits, and I wanted to make extra sure that we got well clear of them. But Heinous Lime managing to hold on in front of us so far. We are not using a whole lot of our overtake anymore, just for that one quick outlap, really. And now we're just going to kind of hang out. Vickers is on an alternate strategy. He's still got to make a pit stop. We are gaining on him, but he's still got to come in for 5th place. And with the time penalties that Lime has, and Pepmeister about 5.5 seconds back plus 5-second time penalties, was not really looking to push all that hard. You can see the fuel mix just about getting back into the positive. I definitely wanted to avoid my mistake last week of underfueling the car too much and having to do a bunch of lift and coast at the end. I think I could have underfueled it just a little bit more this week, but it fell into a pretty good spot considering, at least to this stage, no safety cars as well. So we're once again closer and closer on the back of Heinous Slime. Once again, no overtake being used down this straight. You can see 65% now in the battery. We're just kind of letting that close up so we can do a big dump. And especially because it seems our pace is relatively even at this point. The other concern I was having was if I get by him, can I build enough of a gap to not be immediately repassed the next lap when we come through the DRS zones and they're behind me? So I wanted to make sure I had enough battery to really do not only enough battery for the overtake, but also to expend for a hot lap and really do kind of almost a quali lap on these hard tires and try and build at least 7-8 tenths of a margin in one lap on Heinous Slime instead of risking them re-attacking. But you can see up to 80% now, so lots of battery in. Now is likely going to be the time to really go on the attack. Vickers is into the pit lane. We've just moved past them. They're onto the medium compound tire, and away we go. And Heinous Slime still getting good exits out of there. And the other thing I'm kind of looking for is the rear light to start flashing on their car. I felt at this stage that they were probably using quite a bit of battery to try and keep ahead of me. Meanwhile, I was just sitting in the DRS and charging my battery up. I'm expending quite a bit of it right now just to put a little extra pressure on them and to see if I can bait them into burning more. 70% still plenty to make an overtake and use quite a lot of deployment over the next hot lap. So I was fairly comfortable with how full the battery is. I didn't need it at a full 100%, so I wanted to burn a little bit of it off for performance and not leave too much in the tank. But Heinous Slime, this time we're much closer through turn 7 and 8. Now headed up towards turn 9. We're about 4 tenths back. If we can have a good run through turns 9 and 10, which we get a decent run through turn 9, lose a little bit of ground on the exit. But turn 10, we're right on the gearbox. Now there is the full deployment. So I'm going to try and put myself right on the gearbox of Lime into turn 1. Big lift into turn 1 just to manage the speed. And here we go, opening that DRS, using that overtake. He's gotten a very good exit out of there. So I actually switched the overtake off and bail out of the loop. But now you can see it. That red light is starting to flash on the rear of that Alfa Romeo ahead. It turns off as they're under braking. They get it just above that 10% margin. But they're in trouble with their battery life at this point. LC Fighter has gone around in the Ferrari, as you can see him coming on P4 in the timing tower, but he's gotten going again before we've caught up. So the pressure on Heinous Slime is working. They're burning a lot of battery as Queasy is going to come into the pits. They started on the hard tires, and we're going to go long in this one. As a snap of oversteer from Heinous Slime, and that's been a mistake from them. That's a position up for us, so we were pressuring. I don't know if that had any impact on their mistake, but now they're 8 tenths back, and this is where I go for the pelting it around lap. The ERS is fully enabled down this straight. Our teammate is actually just about to get released from the pit speed limiter, so you can see out of the corner once the traction is down, more overtake being used. You can see I've burned the battery from almost 65% now down to 20%. So this is a full send kind of lap to try and make some of that gap up and keep Heinous Slime as much out of my DRS as possible. And it's about 9 tenths the gap at this point. So he seems to have been doing quite a lot of deployment as well down the straights, or just has a car that's a little bit slipperier in a straight line. But we're continuing to push down under 20% battery now, and this is kind of where I've had the measure of Heinous Slime. You can see gaining almost a tenth and a half through that corner, and then more. LC Fighter has again had a spin and a mistake. We're going to go around the outside of him, but don't expect LC to remain there for long. Once he's back up to racing speed, he's got tremendous pace compared to us. So it's a driver that I won't fight when they come through. We may not even see this one on camera. I may just skip past it. But now LC Fighter is in our DRS, and that's a little bit unfortunate for us. But we're going to jump ahead a couple of laps down to 27 as LC Fighter has been let through. We have our teammate Queasy Pluto coming up behind and who has cleared Heinous Slime, and we're just going to ease them through as they are on the medium tire, the faster tire strategy, and they were closing us up by about 4 or 5 tenths a lap. So no real reason to fight them or hold them up anymore. It was a little bit clumsy on letting them through. I think I thought they were a little closer than they were in the braking zone, but no harm, no foul. I used a little bit of extra battery deployment, and now it's just about keeping that gap to Heinous Slime, because I don't, barring any kind of mistake, you can see on the track map just how far ahead the race leaders are. They're just coming through turn 1 now, and we are quite a ways back of them. So, barring any kind of major mistakes, I'm not going to catch my teammate on the better tires, and I'm not likely going to catch LC on the same tires. So, P5 is about what I was targeting here with 8 laps left to go in the race, and was just kind of utilizing the battery to make sure that I could try and catch up to Queasy, but here we're jumping ahead now, lap 35 of 36 in the final couple of corners, about to start the last lap. You can see almost 4 seconds the gap to Heinous Slime, plus 11 seconds of penalties. Our teammate 6.3 ahead was unable to really close down LC Fighter, but has the fastest lap of the race point. And after Jeff had spent a long time saying 15, 10, 5 minutes till rain, we got rain is imminent with my last call, and unfortunately, since it's on the last lap, you're definitely not going to see any actual wet tire running. But here we go through turn 3, and I've got a mountain of time to work with Heinous Slime. You can see I've actually given up a lot of time already in this first couple of corners, and there's the first drops of rain. So there is a little bit of moisture coming on the track, and I'm just going to go ahead and tiptoe and be careful, because even if Heinous Slime comes up, drives past me, they've got to find 11 seconds in 4 corners. Don't expect that to happen. Cryptic crossed the line first, took the checkered flag, but via track limit penalties, Lorebo actually takes their first race win of the season. The Red Bull scores good points there as we flip our way through the last couple of corners. Queasy's already crossed the line in P4, and we have crossed the line in P5. So a decent double top 5 finish for Mercedes. Aside from the early drama, we had a relatively straightforward run, and we're able to make quite a few overtakes. But Lorebo, Cryptic, LC Fighter, your podium finishers, then the Mercedes duo, myself and Queasy in P4 and P5. Heinous Slime came home 6 with the 2 McLarens, Sam and Mady, and that one kid coming home P7 and 8. Vickers in 9th, and Racer04 rounds out the top 10. Chuck SRQ, last finisher in P11. Lima Bean, Pepmeister, Diamond Ninja, Issei, and of course the broadcaster of Chem are those who are your retirements. Chem not, of course, recording any stats for this one. But a decent day at the office, especially after a tough home race in Austin. Happy to have a good drive in Austria. But I'll catch you guys next time. See you guys later.